Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a good weekend. We got a few things to cover today. We're going to start out, though, with Ben at ECA, who is our insurance guru. So he's going to kind of bring us up to speed on the state of the state when it comes to insurance. Morning, Ben.
Good morning. So, hi, everybody. Bunch of updates to cover as far as carriers go. Recently we've got news on the DOL rules being at least delayed a little bit, maybe longer. Most of the carriers are taking the stance of just stay the course for now, try and focus on what they do best. We regularly get carriers coming in here to talk to us about their updates. Some of them have big updates. Some of them have very big updates, which I'll go over. But most of them are just saying, we're just focusing on what we do best, and it's whatever it is. Whether if they're a term carrier, it's focusing on their term. If they're whole life, it's focusing on their core whole life products. If they're an IUL carrier, known for that, that's what they're focusing on. With that, some of them are changing products, changing pricing to be either more competitive or more profitable. With the continued low interest rate, we've seen over the past year and a half, 2 years, some carriers dropping products or changing pricing to remain competitive in the markets that they're in. So with that, some of the updates where carriers are dropping products, Voya, which used to be ING, they dropped their term product completely, their regular term, their ROP. They also dropped their IUL guaranteed death benefit product, and their focus going forward is going to be on cash value IUL. They've had a whole bunch of layoffs and decreased staff, but their focus going forward is just going to be on, more on the retirement side, on that focus on the cash value IUL. Mutual of Omaha has dropped and changed some of their GUL products, more in the single pay and limited pay scenarios, but their focus is more on their other lines. MetLife sold their career agency to MassMutual recently. They're rebranding, changing their name to Bright House Financial. And MetLife has been known for whole life products in the past, and they actually dropped their entire whole life line. So they completely rebranding and taking a different focus.
MetLife is going, just so I'm clear, MetLife, the name MetLife is going away?
Well, not for a while, and it's probably just like Voya. It'll be a couple years, but yeah, they're and it may stay for, their property casualty, things like that. But as far as their life business, that segment is going to be at least the Bright House Financial brand, which is a complete.
They killed Snoopy?
I think Snoopy may stay as the mascot from what they were saying too, though. So,
okay.
But I don't know if that'll be just with the Met brand, or they're still in talks and getting final approvals and everything. So there'll be more to come on that. But yeah, that was a big shakeup over at Met. So, and the biggest thing, that's selling their career agency to Mass, that was a huge part of their life presence. So, yeah, some big changes at Met. Prudential increased they've been very competitive in the GUL space. They increased their GUL prices anywhere from 5 to 19% in different cells. So that was a big shakeup. A lot of times they were number 1 or 2, depending on what pricing scenario you're looking at. And they also decreased their rates on term. So they're much more competitive there. They do want term business. So they're trying to be aggressive in that space. Banner, who has long been at the top, top 1 through 5 on term, decreased their prices on term as well. And they have no interest in adding different products in the upcoming months. No interest in getting into IUL or anything like that. Their focus is really strictly on term. They know they're not priced well in other areas, and that's fine with them. They also have partnered, Allianz has partnered with them, and Allianz uses the Banner term process for their Allianz branded term product. So if you remember, a couple of years ago, Allianz stopped selling term and focused on their cash value IUL. They now have a term product with a conversion to the Allianz IULs, and it's priced just a little bit less than Banner. I think what they say about 5% or a little bit more than that than the Banner product. So if you want the Allianz term to be able to convert, you'll pay a little more than Banner. So it's really not for people that are looking just for term. It's for someone who's looking for that Allianz IUL, but doesn't want the IUL premium right now. They maybe want to lock in their insurability or get some other things taken care of first, and have a low premium for a couple of years and then convert. So that's another change. So as far as carrier delays, we've got a couple carriers, Principal, American General, MetLife, that are taking a little longer than normal. Of those, Principal's probably the furthest behind, and that's really due to a change they have. They rolled out their limited underwriting term, so it's a kind of a quick ticket. You drop it. You don't have any client signature needed. It's a drop ticket term process, and with that, up to $500,000, they could possibly not need an exam. No exam, no labs. They'll do a phone interview with the client, pass it to the underwriter. If the underwriter deems everything's good from the phone interview, they can issue a policy within a few days. And I say within a few days, now they're taking about a week to issue policies. So they're seeing delays across the board because they've taken in a lot of business on that and trying to get things under control there again. But it's a good process. It's been working pretty good. We've seen quite a bit of business in on that. So as far as a good term process with the possibility for no exam, Principal is a good option. Other carriers that have something like that, the one that we see quite a bit of too now is Banner. With the Banner process, though, it's only about 10% that actually qualify to have no exam there. So some little differences. Where Principal, it's probably 20-25% that don't need it, maybe a little more. But certainly it's a good option for clients that are otherwise healthy, have no real issues, and they could possibly get by and get an offer with no exam. So most of the carriers are just doing what they do best and keeping the focus on that. No real big changes in underwriting practices or any big changes there, other than the trend towards offering some sort of drop ticket, where it's just agent submits it. Most of it can be done over the phone to start. That's a big trend. So we've got a bunch of carriers that are actually doing that now, and for the most part, those processes are going pretty good. So switching gears here, going into a little bit on the underwriting side, I want to talk a little bit just about diabetes and where those lab ranges are. It's a question that comes up on a almost daily basis, where we have a case that's either rated for diabetes or rated because someone's glucose or A1C is out of the normal range. So when you get those cases, just kind of what is diabetes? It's just when your body can't process sugar properly, in layman's terms, you're going to have more sugar or glucose found in the blood. So they measure that through two ways: glucose, which is just taking the amount of glucose that's found in the blood, and when that's fasting, it should be under 100. If it's over 100, depending on what it is, there could be some additional testing that they would do. One of those would be the A1C. So, and most of the carriers actually test A1C directly because that's a good measure of what the level of sugar has been in the blood over the past 2 to 3 months. So if someone has really good control, that normal range of A1C, which is just basically the amount of sugar attached to your red blood cells, in normal people, it's under 5.7%. In diabetics, it's anywhere 6.5% and up is a diagnosis of diabetes. So that range in the middle there, that 5.7% to 6.4%, that's a pre-diabetic range. And that can still oftentimes be treated like diabetes for underwriting purposes. So if someone falls in that range, they're more likely to develop diabetes at any point in the future. So that's a kind of a good way to break down those ranges. So if you get a client like that, they may be limited to standard. There's a few carriers that could go standard plus in that range. If the labs aren't, if everything else is great and that's the only thing that's of concern, carriers can oftentimes credit that up to standard plus. In a very rare case, you might be able to get a preferred on that still. Once they've reached that range of 6.5 and had a diagnosis of diabetes, their goal, if they've seen their doctor and aware of it, their goal would be typically to be under 7. And as long as their A1C is under 7 at that point when they have diabetes, they can still get credits for that good A1C control. So if they show control over time, they could get credits up to 2 tables credits. So if they're come in at table 2, if they would normally come in at table 2 because of their diabetes and they have good control, they can get credited up to standard. And some carriers can actually credit them even a little further up to standard plus, even with the diagnosis of diabetes. Better at older ages, and the most important thing though is good control. They don't want to see huge swings and a poor diet, non-compliance with their medication. So even if they're on insulin, insulin and a pill, just diet, any of those circumstances, the biggest thing is if they have good control. If they have good control, they can oftentimes get credited up to standard. Now, if you get someone who's 20 or 30, they're probably not going to come in at standard because that rating starts so much higher, and there's a lot longer time frame for the for diabetes to do damage to the body. But if you get those other, any cases where you have a question on where that client would fall, send them to me, and I can take a look at the manuals and give you an idea on which carriers to go with for that situation. Because sometimes, depending on the facts, one carrier may be a little better than another. So with that, I can take any questions.
Do we have any questions, guys?
If not,
you did a good job as usual.
Have a great. All right. Well, have a great rest of the call.
Okay. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. So as usual, I'm going to bug you about doing those 5-minute money makers. Last Wednesdays was so much for experts. The 2016 S&P 500 did 9.5%. The Vanguard Total Index Market did 12.5%. Forbes list of recommendations did 7%. Kiplinger's did about half of that. So the magazines talk themselves up a lot, but year after year they fail to beat the index. So again, guys, am I saying that what am I saying? Am I saying these magazines are stupid and are bad? What am I saying? And remember, these guys, these Forbes and Kiplingers, they have to report to a gazillion people, the public, how they're doing. And they know they're going to have to report that. So what's my point? Not one person has an idea of what my point is. Come on, guys. Yeah, there you go, Wade. Predictions are easy, but not easy, not easy to be accurate. Yeah, it's hard to beat the market. So again, when we're talking to our clients about our AUM, it's when the market goes up, we're going to go up. When the market goes down, we're going to go down. And luckily, the market goes up more often than down. We can guarantee that to them, but trying to say we're going to beat the market or anything else to do with going to not quite beat the market, but we're going to protect you on the downside, all that stuff, don't promise anything you can't promise. Make sense? A 5Q breakdown. We said, you enter the beneficiary script of the client. Did he get what he needs? Listen to the 1-minute snippet to see. So, and then when you hear those things, guys, practice those. Use that as your 15-minute practice when you hear what was either missing or what could have been done better, okay? So we now have all the people that did eye to eyes in January are in the final stats. So we're looking at 9 people did fabulous. I mean, we're talking about high 6-figure, low 7-figure assets captured. So I do get, and Jeff does get, and Jerry does get, people say, what are those guys doing? You know, those guys that are capturing $1 million from these eye to eyes, what are they doing? And what do you think we tell them, guys? If you talk to them, guess what they would say? What are they doing? Well, they're all doing the 21. That goes without saying, Wade. So yeah, you're right. They're doing the 20. Aha, Jerry. Okay, I got miffed. I got one guy who did it or said it right though. They mastered the effing scripts, guys. When you master the effing script, guess what? The client says exactly what you want them to say. So they say for an hour and a half to 2 hours that they can't trust their guy. When they say for an hour and a half to 2 hours that they can't trust their guy 100, 200 times, guess what happens? If they tell you 100 to 200 times, sometimes in little ways, sometimes in big ways, that they cannot trust their guy. Are you getting a lot of static there?
I heard it for just a second. Now it's cleared up.
Okay. So if they tell you 100, 200, 300 times in an hour and a half to 200 times, or an hour and a half to 2 hours time, 100, 200, 300 times that they cannot trust their guy, what are they going to do, guys? Yes, they leave their guy. So how did they do that? Why are they successful? They all mastered the tutorial. So let me ask you a question. When I ask somebody, have you mastered the tutorials, and they say, I've got them down pretty good, what does that tell me? Did they do the tutorial? If they say they got it down pretty good, did they do the tutorial right? Wade says no. Andre says no. Mike says no. Okay, so Arthur says no. No, that's right, because if they do the tutorial, how good should they be at the end of that tutorial? Yeah, they should be awesome at it. Okay? So here's the thing. You say, boy, how do they do that? That's hard. That's hard. How can they possibly do that? Guys, it's not that difficult. Master the scripts. And do you remember what I said? How long does it take to master the scripts? How long does it take to master the tutorials? There's 24 hours of tutorials, so how long should it take you to master them? 72 hours. Very good, Jerry. Yep, Wade's got it. And what if you're twice as dumb as the average guy? How long should it take you then? If it takes the average guy 72 hours, how long should it take? 144. So you won't spend 144 hours to bring in $1 million of business? Dudes, what is your problem? Let's get your spouses on the phone. Let's get your children on the phone. Guess what they're all going to tell you? See, here's the thing. My son is graduating from college, and he asked me, he's looking for what he should do in life. And I said, well, the neighbor kid came over too. And I said, I'm surrounded by neighbors. I'm in Rochester, Minnesota, so all my neighbors are doctors. So they're all making $200,000, $300,000, including this kid's parents. And he's thinking, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And I said, dude, I make 3 times more than the highest paid person on this block. I never even went to school. So guess what? Sales is the easiest, highest paying job in the world, or the hardest, lowest paying job in the world. And that's what I told my son. I said, listen, being in sales is awesome. You can be in charge of your calendar. You can be in charge of how much you make. You can be in charge of the kind of lifestyle you live. Or it's really, really hard job. And it's stressful because you don't know when your next paycheck's coming in. You don't know if you're going to be able to pay your bills the next month. And you don't know if you're going to be able to stay in the business. You don't know where your next sale's coming from. So guys, the guys that wrote high 6-figure, low 7-figure business in January, which are they? Are they the easiest, highest paying job in the world, or the hardest, lowest paying job in the world? Now ask yourself, is that where you're at, or are you in the hardest, lowest paying job in the world? Are you wondering where your next sale's coming from? Are you wondering why you missed that last sale? Are you pointing the finger saying, oh boy, these people here are stupid, or these people are all tire kickers and plate lickers? When somebody says these people are tire kickers and plate lickers, are they classifying themselves as the easiest job or the hardest job? See, Jeff, would selling tire kickers and plate lickers, I'd classify that as the hardest job in the world. How about you?
Yeah, that would be tough. That would be really hard.
Yeah. But we have a methodology that turns them into what?
Oh, somebody that's the easiest person to sell. So,
which is somebody with money and no advisor.
No advisor. Yeah, needing to do something now.
Yeah, and they're not going to do it later. They need to do it right now. So what are these guys doing? Guys, what they're doing is they spent December mastering the tutorials, not going through the videos, but mastering the tutorials. So Wharton School of Business basically said and came up with the same conclusion that Lou Holtz came up with, which is that having Plan B is a good idea or a bad idea, according to, do you think the Wharton School of Business said? Having a plan B is a good idea or a bad idea? Got one right answer. Two right answers. 3, 4, 5. Okay, okay, we're getting tons. No, bud. It's a lousy idea. When you have plan B, guess how much effort you put into plan A? Everybody else got it right. So Lou Holtz, after landing his invasion force on the shores of some country, the 16th century Spanish conquistador, Hernan Cortés, would immediately burn his own boats. He was sending a message, we can't turn back. We succeed here or we die. Excuses are not an option. So guys, when it comes to the tutorials, when you say it's hard, what is that classified when you say it's hard? What's that classified as? When you say, can't teach old dogs new tricks, what's that classified as? When you say, oh my gosh, that's a lot of stuff I need to remember, what's that classified as? So here, I want to show you something here. So this poem right here, my son, who's graduating from college, had to memorize when he was his senior year of high school. So he had to memorize this word for word. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I think I mentioned this here a couple weeks back, that we were at a lunch, and he was telling his mom and me that, you know, I still know that poem that I memorized in high school. I can still do it word for word. It's seared into my brain. In fact, I did it with my buds the other day. I just whipped it out and did the poem. And you know what? His buddy said they did it too. So how did he learn this poem, do you think? Did he read it over and over and over? Did he put it on tape and then play it while he was sleeping and jogging? How did he learn this poem, guys? How did he learn it? There you go, line by line. So he said, okay, between my finger and my thumb, okay, shut my eyes. Between my finger and my thumb, okay, shut my eyes. Between my finger and my thumb, record myself. Between my finger and my thumb, look, between my finger, hey, I got that down. So guess what I can do right now, guys? I can go to the next one. So the squat pen rests snug as a gun. Okay, I'm going to hide, I'm going to blind myself now. The snug pen rests snug as a gun. Okay, I'm going to open my eyes. Squat pen rests snug as a gun. Oh, perfect. Now I'm going to see if I can't do the two of them together. I'm going to practice the two of them together. Make sure I didn't forget the first one. So I'm going to say, okay, so between my finger and my thumb, the squat pen rests snug as a gun. Okay, now I'm going to shut my eyes. Between my finger and my thumb, the squat gun rests between my thumb. Nope, did that wrong. So between my finger and my thumb, the squat pen rests snug as a gun. Okay, I'm going to shut my eyes. Between my finger and my thumb, the squat gun rests. Oops, no wait. Ah, shoot, I don't get it. The squat pen rests. The squat pen rests snug as a gun. Okay, I'm going to again shut my eyes. Between my finger and my thumb, the squat pen rests snug as a gun. The squat pen rests snug. Perfect, got it. Now guess what I can do, guys? What can I do now? Go on to line 3. And then guess what? I'm going to learn line 3, then I'm going to learn line 4. And then I'm going to learn line 5. I'm sorry? No, I'm not. I'm going to learn line 3, then what am I going to do? Make sure I got number 1, number 2, and number 3 all down. And if I don't get it down, when will I move on? So guys, last week, the reason I'm having this call is last week I talked to, I think 3 different guys who told me they did the tutorials and they had it down. And when I listened to the tape, guess what I heard? With the client, guess what I heard? They sucked. They sucked. And I went back to them and said, did you really do the tutorials? And guess how they told me they did the tutorials? What did they do? Did they do them as the tutorials are laid out, where you do just one crib note at a time and don't move on to the next crib note? And then you do the next crib note and don't move on till you get that one down. And then you practice the 2 together. Then you go to just the 3rd crib note. Do that one over and over and over, and don't move on until you get that down. Then when you get that down, you make sure you got 1, 2, and 3 together until you get all 3 done. You don't go. Guess how they did it? They watched the friggin' videos, and then after they watched the friggin' videos, they said, okay, I think I got it. I think I got it. And then they went on to the next part. And they said, yeah, I think, yep, I got it. I got it. Were they doing the hard work, or were they just in there doing it in their heads? Guys, saying this stuff into your head is worth what? Saying this stuff into your head is worth what? Zippity-doo-dah. You have to say it out loud, record yourself saying it out loud, listen to yourself, compare it to what it should have been. I mean, look at me. I thought I had that down, and I had to do these two how often? 5 times till I got the 2 of them down. Now, here's the thing. Again, 4 years later, you have to deal with all of those. 4 years later, he still knows that poem, word for word, line for line. Now, guess what his reward was for learning that poem? What was his reward for learning that poem? 10% of his grade. That's what he got for memorizing, spending the time to learn that. 10% of his grade. Remember a couple weeks ago when I talked about the drama students? What do they get for memorizing an hour and a half's worth of lines and where they're supposed to be on stage and what they're supposed to be doing with their props? What did they get? For the glory. So Devon memorized this poem for 10% of his grade. They remember, the drama kids remember just for the glory of being in the high school play. Guys, what do you get for memorizing these tutorials? What do you get for memorizing these tutorials? You make over $1 million a year. That's what you get. Let's do the math. For $1 million of income, at 6%, this is just on the fixed side, you need $16.7 million of production. With a guarantee of $1 million per 17 eyes. Guys, when I say the guarantee is $1 million, so that's $17 million there, guys. Should you be able to close $17 million, if the guarantee is $1 million, is there any excuse for not closing all 100% of it if you're awesome at the tutorials? And I want everybody to answer this. If you're awesome at the tutorials, should you miss a case? So you're all putting in the right number. You're all putting in the right word. And yet, do you really believe it? So when I say y'all, so I got 5, 10, 15. I got 15 people. We still got about 85 people left to add this. Come on, guys. All the rest of you, type in your answers. Because I'm seeing, I'm gonna take a copy of this, and if you don't have your, I'm gonna call you if your answer is not in here. The question is, should you close? If you get in front of $17 million, should you close it if you're awesome at the tutorials? That's the question. Okay. Now, the average eye to eye, we're getting in front of 1.9 million. The guarantee is 1 million. The average is 1.9. So you only need to do 9 eyes to eyes if you're doing this. And yet, we had, I think 12 people did the eye to eye in January. Out of 150 people, that's 10% of people. Guys, 9 of them killed it. Guess why they jumped in January? Because they knew they put the work in December to master the tutorials. So we're now what? We're into the 3rd month. We're almost 1 quarter through the year. We're almost 1 quarter through the year. Where are you? Where are you in your business? Are you where you want to be? Are you making the money you want? Are you making the same as what you made last year, or are you making double what you made last year? If you're not making double what you made last year, get on your horse and do the hard work, dudes. Do the hard work. So when you're doing a 5Q tutorial, how do you do it? You watch the video. Then what do you do after you watch the video? You pause the video. Then what do? You listen to yourself, or you record yourself. Then you listen to yourself. Then you critique yourself. And then you repeat. Then you repeat, 1 foot in front of the other. Repeat as often as necessary. So you're going to go back and do this process. Record or watch the video. Pause. Tape yourself. Listen to yourself. How is it compared to the video? Critique yourself. If you got it down, okay, go to the next one. So let's just listen to just one of the tutorials so we get how we do this. And I want you to be answering these questions as we go through. So here we go. This is a tutorial for the umbrella portion of the 21-point checklist. What we're trying to do here are numerous things. First thing, we want to make sure they understand the importance of an umbrella and protecting their assets.
It's another non-financial thing that we're talking about. It's another thing protection, which gets the person in the family who does not handle the money, that actually instead is worried about protecting the family and is more conservative. It's talking to them. But the main thing it's doing is we want them to misjudge us, because up to this point we have not sold anything. And we want them to misjudge us and think we're going to be selling them an umbrella liability policy, which we don't do. So you see all the way down to number 6 here is where you ask who's your insurance with, because number 1 through 5 gets them thinking, hey, this guy's going to try to sell me an umbrella. And the reason we want them to think that we're selling them an umbrella is because by the time we get to the point where they're like, here it comes, and we say, who's your car insurance with, that's who you need to go back to. When we do that, they're like, oh, shoot, I thought he was going to try to sell me something.
So a couple things here. When my son had to memorize that poem, did you see that poem? Did it have even, I mean, what, you have an advantage here. You know what you're trying to accomplish with this script. Did he know what he was trying to accomplish with that poem, or is the poem just some poet's fluffy language about all sorts of different things that who gives a rat's patootie about? Sorry about if there's any poets out there, but in truth, we know a theme. We know what we're trying to accomplish here. We have an advantage over him trying to remember a poem that, as far as I'm concerned, is nonsensical. Also, did he get to use crib notes as he was doing this, his? No. Do we get to use crib notes? Yes, you can use crib notes, dudes.
Geez, I should quit misjudging this guy. All he's trying to do is help me. And see, when you misjudge somebody, you give them the benefit of the doubt going forward. So that's what we're doing here, okay? So let's roll into the umbrella, and let's work on number 1. We're going to say, so the next thing we want to talk about is actually protecting your assets. Now, it took you, what, a few years to build up all your assets, or did it take a long, long time? No, it took a long time. And easy 40 years, or, I mean, blood, sweat, and tears for 40 years to build that up. Oh, it was hard to build that up. Yeah, it was hard to build that up. So and the sad thing about life is this: it takes years and years to build something, and it can be gone instantaneously. How long does it take for a forest to grow? Well, sometimes hundreds of years. Yeah, and a forest fire can destroy that how quickly? Well, like in a day. A building, how long does it take for a building to go up? Well, days, weeks, months. And how quickly can it go down? Well, instantly. And unfortunately, that's the same thing with our assets. It takes years to build up, but can be brought down how quickly? Well, I hope you're not saying really quickly. Yeah, and I'm saying it has to be a certain circumstance. Well, let's talk about it, because you bring up, yeah, I hope not quickly. And really, it's only one circumstance that can instantaneously devastate somebody's assets. And that's, if you've ever had okay, so then I'm going to go into number 2. Okay, so all I want them to do is understand that they work long and hard for their money. They don't want it to disappear instantaneously. Okay, so let's do that one more time, and then we'll go ahead and practice it. So the next thing we want to talk about is protecting your hard-earned assets. And again, you built up your assets in what, a couple of years, or did it take you 20, 30, 40 years? Oh, it took us a long time to do that. Yeah, it took you a long time to do that. So, and it's the unfortunate thing about life, that things that take forever to build up can be brought down how quickly. For example, forests, a forest, how long does it take for the trees to grow? Yeah, I mean, years, hundreds of years sometimes. Yeah, and how quickly will a forest fire destroy the forest? In a day. A building, how long does it take to build a building? Yeah, or, months or weeks, or could be, depends. Yeah, I mean, months or weeks, we don't know for sure. But how quickly can it be destroyed? Oh, yeah, I mean, instantaneously. Yeah, and so what it takes so long to build up, like your assets, can be destroyed how quickly? Yeah, very quickly. And do we want that to happen to our assets, or we want to make sure that they're protected? No, we want to make sure they're protected. So that's just something, you see, it's a little bit different from the first way to do it. It doesn't matter. All we want them to do is understand they've worked too long and hard to let their assets disappear instantaneously. Okay? So go ahead and let's pause the video, and then you work on that.
Okay, guys. So now, let me get this back up here. So we've now listened to the video. Now what are we going to do, guys? What are we going to do? Pause it, yep, and then we're going to what? record ourselves. Then we're going to listen to ourselves, and then we're going to say, and then we'll compare it to the video. And we're going to listen and say, was it good enough? Now, did you notice, did I do it the same way each time? Did I say no, I didn't say the exact same thing. But it still was, so you don't need to even worry about getting this word for word. Are you basically asking the open-ended questions that make the client tell you what you need to tell them there, which is that what? We work long and hard for our money. It can disappear instantaneously, and we don't want that to happen. If a client says that, you're what for crib note number 1? The client says that. If they say, boy, we've worked long and hard for our money, and it can disappear instantaneously, and we don't want that to happen, you're awesome. You're great. And then you can do what? Move on to the next one. Okay, so you move on to the next one.
Record yourself, listen. Record yourself, listen. Record yourself, listen. Come.
Should you move on till you get that down? No.
Come back when you have a good handle on crib note number 1.
I'll do my little pause.
Build up can be destroyed instantaneously. For example, a forest. How long does it take for we want to protect those assets? And the reason I bring that up is, if I'm having a party and if somebody trips on the hose and falls down, and they're a friend, they'll still jokingly say, what? I hope you have good what? Well, they'll probably say good insurance. Yeah, and I mean, do they plan on suing me, or is it a joke? No, it's just a joke. But the thing is, if the first thing that pops into my friend's mind is to sue me, what would happen if somebody wasn't my friend and that happened? Well, people, we live in a happy society. They'd want to sue you. Yeah, they would. So in today's world, we do or don't want to protect ourselves from something like that. Well, no, we would, because how quickly could our assets disappear? Well, very quickly. So again, let's practice the trip again. So when I say the trip, I'm talking.
So I'm doing it for you a couple of times, and then I say, what? I say, let me get up to here. Then after you've watched the video, pause it, record yourself. If you do not record yourself, are you doing it? Are you doing it right? Great job, guys. You're saying no. Why? If you're not recording yourself, why are you not doing it right? If you're not recording yourself, for all you know, you may be doing all telling, selling, preaching, teaching, and not asking questions. You may be asking closed-ended questions instead of open-ended questions. See, this is hard work. This is the deliberate practice I've been preaching about for a year. Record or listen to the video, pause it, record yourself, listen to yourself, critique yourself. Did I ask open-ended questions that got them to say what they're supposed to say at the crib note? If not, guess what I need to do? I need to go back to the video, watch it again, pause it, record myself, listen to myself, and ask myself again, did I get what I needed? Now, after I've gotten those two down, after I've got this down, then I'm going to do what? And the video does this for you. The video does this for you. Then what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure I can do this one and this, the number 1 and number 2 together before I move on. And then I'm going to learn number 3 over and over and over until I get that down. Then I'm going to make sure I have not lost anything. I'm going to do number 1, number 2, and number 3 together. So this video here takes 36 minutes. So how long should it take you to master this tutorial? 36 minutes? No. Because that's how long the video is. How long should it take you? Yeah, 1.5 to 5 hours. 1.5 to 5 hours is how long it should take you. Why? Because you're not just listening to the freaking video. You're not watching the video. You're stopping it. You're pausing it. You're recording yourself. You're listening to yourself. You're critiquing yourself. How did I do compared to the video? Was I asking closed-ended question, open-ended question? Do I have this down? So guys, by the end, how well should you have this down? It's not that hard, guys. And you even have an understanding of what you're trying to accomplish, and you have the crib notes in front of you, which you can have when you're in front of a client. Watching the video is a waste of your time. Working with the video is how you learn this. So, Jeff, what would you add to this?
What I would add is it's a skill that you've had to do your whole life. We're not asking you to do something that you haven't had to do many, many times before. or that you won't have to do many, many times going forward. I'll give you an example. My 8-year-old son, he's got a spelling test every week. So when he brings the list every Friday, he's got a spelling test. When he brings the list home on Monday, I start to quiz him. And I say, hey, do you need a few minutes to study? Yeah, I do. All right. Call me when you're ready. 2 minutes later, I'm ready. Okay. Sight. God, I don't know that one. Jonah. What did he do? He looked at the list. He did. What did he not do?
And he's
work at it.
He did it in his head.
Internal one.
He thought, oh, I got that one down. Oh, got that one down. Oh, got that one down.
Sight, S-I-G-T-H-T, got it. Tight, T-I-G-H-T, got it. Not, N-O-T, got it. I'm ready.
Is it a race?
No, it's not a race. And he thinks that, why do I have to study spelling like that? Why do I have to put that kind of effort? Because he wants to play professional football. That's his goal. That's what he thinks he's going to be. And I'm trying to tell him, well, they're going to hand you a playbook. And they're going to say, have this down next week. You can't just look at the plays and say, got it. You're off the team. So it works that I go to college, and guess what they tell me? You gotta read this book. Well, I can't just skim it and read through it and then take the test. I've got to read it in a way that I understand it, and I can verbalize it. I can write down my thoughts on it. I can answer any question about it. You're being asked to do something that you had to do your whole life, from the time you were at least 8 to today. And so we all want shortcuts. There's no shortcut. You just have to do it.
Because when we do it, guess what? It's an ATM. Every person you get in front of will move their money to you. Guys, if you truly believed that you had these tutorials down, out of 150 people, how many would be doing the IDA right now? IDA. All of you would. So if you're not doing the IDA, and even if you are doing the IDA, don't do the IDA until you get the tutorials down. But if you're not doing the IDA, get your butts in gear. So here's the thing. I mean, I'm sure you're all follow Lil Wayne. Says, I don't need it to be easy. I just want it to be worth it. Is it worth it learning these tutorials, guys? I don't know. I thought you came on to make money. I show you how to make money, and then what are you doing with that information, guys? I show you how to make money, and what are you doing with that information? Are you using it? Are you treating it like gold? No. So here's what I want you to do. Because when you've mastered the scripts and the motive, you've done your daily practice, the 5-minute, that's when you get every client you want. So here's the thing. Do you want me to be your cheerleader, or do you want me to be your coach? I got 5 coaches. That's it. I mean, are you looking for a pat on the butt, or are you looking for to make a lot of money? So here's what I need you to do. I need you to send me an email, all of you. I need you to each send me an email. You need to tell me when you're going to have these tutorials, not pretty well done, mastered. And remember, you can do it in 72 hours. That means that gives you 6 times as many hours in 1 month. You have 6 times the number of hours, waking hours. 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. You have 7 times the amount of time you actually need to do this available to you. I need you to send me an email to tell me when you're going to get these tutorials, not pretty well done, but all the tutorials mastered, all the tutorials that are on the website for the 21-point checklist, what date you're going to have them mastered. Now, if you tell me 3 months from now, that's okay. At least then you have a deadline that you can meet. If you tell me 2 months, if you tell me a year from now, I'm going to kick your ass off. But 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, that's fine. 2 weeks, fantastic. But you need to sit down with yourself and say, when I am going to get this done. And if you put down a date, that means you better put a plan in place to make sure you've got them down by that date. Don't let yourself down. Don't let me down. Don't let your family down by putting down a date and then saying, oh, I'm too tired today to learn this. Oh, I got to watch The Bachelorette. Oh, I got to watch the basketball game. If you want to watch the Sweet 16, get it done before the Sweet 16, or say, I guess I'm not going to get this done for 2 months, But be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself, saying, you know what? I don't have the motivation to learn the tutorials. At least then you know. At least then you're being honest with yourself, because then you know the reason you're not making the money you want is why. The reason you're not making the money you want is why. At least if you admit that, then at least you can, at least at the start. So everybody, by the end of the day, that's on this call needs to send me an email saying what date they're going to have this done by. And again, there's no right or wrong date to this. It could be 3 months out, I'm cool. 2 months out, I'm cool. 1 month, I'm cool. 2 weeks, I'm ecstatic. I guess 1 year. If you go out further than 3 months, you're probably telling me this isn't the system for you. 3 months, maybe there's something going on with your life. I still would scratch my head, but and don't send it to me now. Send it to me in an email, because I'm keeping track of these, and I'm going to enter it into your folder. And if you don't send me, I'm going to know if you don't send me this email, guys. And guess what you've told me? If you don't send me an email, what have you told me? If you don't send me an email, tell me when you're going to have this done. What have you told me? You can't even hold yourself accountable. My God. If you can't even hold yourself accountable, guess what? How much money are you going to make? If you can't hold yourself accountable, how much money are you going to be making this year? I'd say what you made last year. If you're happy with last year, fantastic. So Jeff, that's me, the dick coach, yelling at them. So do you have any inspirational words for them?
Well, the only thing I would say is you all have, I mean, there is some truth to the fact that you all came out to make more money. I assume because there were things you wanted to do. You had dreams. You had a picture in your head of what you wanted your life to be like and what you wanted your work life to be like. And so if you have the opportunity, there's no reason not to just take it. There's nothing easier than sitting. It's not going to get easier than this, I guess. Having a video to watch and a recorder to record to tell you exactly what to say, that's as easy as it gets. You're not going to find anything anywhere else that's going to get you where you want to go any easier than that.
And I guess what I'd say, guys, if your college son came to you and said, Dad, all I need to do is memorize this 24 hours of the video and I'll make $1 million a year, what would you tell him? What if he said, well, that's a lot of hours to memorize, Dad? What would you tell him? Well, tell yourself the same thing, guys. Tell yourself the same thing, okay? So this is the last time I'm going to talk about this for a while, because I've talked about it 3 times. I hope you've gotten, here's what my understanding. If you haven't got the message by now, guess what? I don't know what I can do. So this is the last time we'll talk about it for a couple of months, but guys, take it to heart, do what's necessary, send me the email, and get it done by those points. And at that point, you've got an ATM. At that point, you have an ATM. Anybody that you want to come on with you will come on with you. It's like the client knows the script. Okay? Super. You guys have a good rest of the weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday. Thanks, everybody.